folks, can I ask you all to just find a seat for a moment and we're up to get started now? So, thank you, everyone, for being here. Anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Brian Powers. We have other candidates here. We're hoping for a fuller house of candidates this evening. It doesn't look like we're going to have that. If they arrive at any point, obviously they'll join us. At this moment, I'm just want to introduce to you Debbie Svikowskis, publisher of the Woodstock Times and owner of Ulster Publishing, who's going to moderate tonight.
Good evening, folks. I'm a relative newcomer to town. I've lived in the same house on Wittenberg Road in Mount Tremper for 50 years. I live opposite Pine Lane and remember when there was no Pine Lane. I remember when I bought the house, I looked at the screens on the windows and they said in German, kleine Badzimmer and stuff like that. So it was the Schuhhaus family had it used as a rooming house, I guess, as a converted farmhouse. And I love the house. I love living in Mount Tremper. And I love the way that the town has evolved and changed. And it's really a wonderful place to live, especially this season, isn't it? Yes. So I'm not given to big speeches. I'm just here to keep you people apart. And since we haven't got too many Republicans here, that probably isn't going to be a problem unless they show up, which would be good, not bad. Okay?
I am a Republican.
I think we should start with let's start with a statement from, keep your statements to candidates to about 5 minutes, and then we'll get into questions. We'll start with Brian, you start.
Sure. I just have a short statement. Vivian and Peter, do you guys want to come up here?
All the candidates, which includes Kevin, I think is here.
Kevin? Well, Kevin's not with Howard. You want it? What?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, folks. So I like to think we come to meetings like this, or watch meetings like this, because we care about our neighbors and our community. We want to try and ensure that things run well and fairly and in the best interest of everyone who lives here. That's what town government should be. And in the years I've been paying attention, I think Shandaken's come a long way in that direction, and it's a good direction. Our governance is getting better. That's certainly true across many of our town's departments. So we have a lot to be proud of, and I think that we'll keep improving. At the same time, and like in most towns, we have issues that need addressing and things that need fixing. And a lot of those things in Shandaken run through the supervisor's office. When I decided to run for the position this past summer, I said from the outset, and I wasn't doing it because I thought Rob was doing a bad job or anything. Over the years, Rob and I have had differences of opinion over policy issues, over process issues occasionally, but basically over what we think will work best for Shandaken's future. But we're also in agreement on a lot of things, most things probably, and I'm sure there's plenty that Rob handles that I haven't a clue about, and I'm sure there's a learning curve to the job, there always is. The main thing is, being town supervisor is a tough job. And I have a lot of respect for the fact that he's done it for 10 years now. And I'm starting with this tonight because I just want people to understand that I'm running for the job of supervisor because I think I can do it well and really help our town. I just happen to be running for the same job as Rob, and I was hoping we'd have a chance tonight to talk publicly about how each of us views things, and I'm still hoping perhaps we'll arrive later. So, like a lot of us, I came here many years ago because I loved this place, and I first got involved with the town in the mid-1990s Because I saw that in its dealings with the city of New York, the people of Shandaken and all of our watershed towns were being taken advantage of. It was true back then, and it's still true now. To protect the downstate water supply, we live with regulations under the MOA that we're barely compensated for at all. Our water keeps half the state alive. We have real, if modest, infrastructure needs, cell service, wastewater, flood control. There's plenty of good ways to structure the funding we need from downstate. And solving is a political issue, one that we have to go fight for ourselves. So making that kind of thing happen, that's a priority for me. That's what I want to go do. Because the real budget issues here are about building new revenue streams to get what we need while keeping our taxes down. But that's where I just wanted, that was just the point of departure that I wanted to start with today. Do you guys have other things you want to make there?
Well, I could make an opening statement. First of all, I'm just thrilled that so many people came here to listen and support us and be educated about who we are and what we stand for. So, giving you a hand.
Yay.
And I just want to say how I felt when I first saw Phoenicia, where I live now. I thought it was heaven on earth, and I still do. And as I've been more involved in the town, I see that there's a lot of issues, a lot of things that need to be fixed, a lot of people that are not in the most comfortable situation. And I want to help out. I really feel like to be part of this community, I have to give back. And I feel so strongly about that. I would not feel comfortable myself if I didn't get involved in running the town, because I feel like that's the way I can give back the best. I have had a career as a physician assistant. What I learned from that more than anything was the key is to listen to people, and then you know how to fix the problem. If you don't listen to the people, you can't fix the problem adequately. And it doesn't have to be a rush job. You don't have to say, okay, it's too complicated, let me put it on the back burner. You gotta really put your mind to it and everything you have. And that's what I've done in my job in the past, and that's what I feel I want to do for the community. I've been involved in the planning board. I'm representing Shandaken on the Ulster County Planning Board. I'm able to see how other towns cope with their issues. We learn from their successes, we learn from their mistakes. And I'm proud of the people that I'm seeing running other towns in Ulster County, because there's some pretty difficult issues that they're dealing with. I'm also, for the last 2 years, I've been serving on the grievance board, basically, a board of assessment review where people come to grieve their taxes. And I feel that, you know, listening to those people, you know, we're all in the same boat with the taxes, and, you know, we have to be problem solving with tax issues as well. So I'm really pleased that to have the opportunity to run for town board and help out the community. And I'm just so happy that I've gotten to this point where, you know, I can say, listen, I'm able to give to my town. It's my permanent home. I retired here. That was my lifelong dream. So I'm just happy to be here.
I'm Pete Wisco-Fanny, running for re-election again. I really enjoy working with people, giving back, like Vivian's talking about it.
Why don't you use a mic? You've got a live mic there.
Is it live?
Oh, I think, I'm sorry, thought it was working. Hi, Lee.
Perfectly good thing to ask, right?
It is. Many people know me. I come from Saugerties originally, but I've lived in Colorado for 10 years, California for a year, Florida for a year. I've been in the area here for about 32 years, and I just, you know, like you guys, I love it. Get on my bike or go hiking, and have a small business with my wife down in Mount Jumper. Let's go.
Okay, anybody here who hates Shandaken? No. Okay. Okay, I'm going to throw it open for questions. I'll, slow people down if things don't get out of hand. So, just try to be as unruly as you can. Okay.
I'd just ask a question about taxes. Maybe you can explain it better, but is there some kind of a state program where if you keep your town taxes below a certain cap, that you get great benefits from that, like funding sources and things like that? Is that possible?
There is the possibility, if we keep our town taxes under 2%, we are eligible for a rebate. It's not, the rebates that we get there are not on the same order of magnitude as the star rebates. In other words, a typical taxpayer might see a rebate of $30 or $50 or $80 as opposed to, something much larger that you'd see from the star program. But it would be advantageous if we in fact can keep our town budgets, under that 2% tax cap. Most towns in our region struggle, like we do, to try to stay under this tax cap, and it's more of an aspiration than it is a reality. I think most town supervisors realize that it's extraordinarily difficult to make that tax cap. But I think I would be hopeful. I'd like to try to do that. Whether or not, we can always be successful with it, we don't know. If you are successful, I think over the last 10 years, I believe we've had two of those years where we came in under the tax cap and there were some rebates available for us.
Could you give us just a little overview about how the taxes, people complain about taxes all the time, and I'm one of the assessors for the town, so I know that people are very concerned about it. And do you have an idea, perhaps Peter, you could answer, how it's been going in recent years? Has the town budget been changing much in recent years?
Well, the largest increase was about 3 years ago when we had to adjust for, with our ambulance corps, we had to adjust for paying the help a minimum wage, which they were working under a minimum wage. It was an agreed upon process. But so getting that over was a large amount of money to add to the budget. And that, I believe that budget that year was about 11.5% increase, which is considerable. The year after it was about 7, still trying to catch up on what those increases were. A lot of increases come in our insurance or retirement programs. I think this year's budget is slated to be about 4.9% as an increase. It should be lower. I think it could be lower. Rob works, the supervisor works on the budget throughout the year, probably starts in the summer, and then coming up in November, he brought forward a preliminary budget last month, and next month he'll bring forward a final budget for us to vote on. Next, in 2 days, there's a meeting to vote to exceed the tax cap, because we'll be over that 2%.
Where
Yes,
would
Doris?
you cut it? You said it could be lower. Where would you cut it?
Well, you know what, it's always tough. It's trying to figure out where it could be lowered. I know it raised because of the ambulance. There's been a lot of overtime in both the ambulance and the police department. I think those two departments can be run more efficiently, which would cut costs probably maybe $100,000. But it's tough finding the help. It's not an absolute necessity that would happen, or an absolute that would happen. But that would be the places to find it.
Yeah, about more than 90% of municipalities and school districts stay within the 2%. So it can be done. this is a time of low inflation, which sort of makes it possible in certain ways. And as Peter said, if you have a hike in insurance or salaries of some kind, you either have to exceed the cap or you have to cut back. Or blame the assessor, of course.
I believe Woodstock and Olive have met the tax cap in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that each of you would do in terms of making the town greener or reducing our carbon footprint?
Good question, Kathy. I haven't thought about the issue at all. I'd love to hear about it if you have ideas, but
Yeah. You've sent us stuff about switching lights over to LED, the street lamps anyway, that we end up as a town paying for in lighting districts and throughout town. There is, two ways of thinking about LED lighting, and I do see some benefits, cost savings and such, but I think we should wait until the actual lighting becomes a little bit more affordable, because it's quite a chunk of money to put out, to pay for all those lamps to be switched over. And it would take a while to reap the benefits of that. And LED lighting is kind of harsh, and I think it will evolve to become less so. Like sodium lights have gotten better.
Well, we'd love to have any ideas that anybody can come up with.
I think putting solar panels on the highway department and putting solar panels on the town hall is a way to get greener and to reap some of our energy from the sun and power those up. I looked into that 10 years ago. NYSERDA was a labyrinth to get through and try and figure out what could work, but maybe there are new programs.
What about electric vehicles for any of the town vehicles and a charging station at the town hall, electric vehicle charging station?
Oh, they're evolving too, and I think that's something that should be looked into. We're always, and I think when the price gets a little bit more competitive, we're always, it's always look to a competitive price to buy a police car or an ambulance or an ambulance fly car. So a lot of times, again, I think we have to wait until that technology gets a little bit less expensive.
But we're definitely going to look into it. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be one of the first things in looking into
Yeah.
expenses and necessary purchases.
David?
There is a program that's apparently swelling around the country on municipal solar. The municipality has a solar field, and then the individuals, instead of putting their own solar on the roof, they tie into that.
Makes so much sense.
Community solar, right?
Yeah.
Community, yeah.
Yeah, there's nice sort of money for stuff like that, and, the county has chosen to set a goal by 2030, it will, all that energy that the county uses will be done through renewable energy. And it's, sometimes if you start with a goal, you find a way of achieving it.
I'm hoping, it wasn't too many years ago when I was investigating it, NYSEG actually didn't participate. They didn't buy back solar monies that you had if you put on the electrical solar panels. They wouldn't buy back whatever was extra, so you had to have that. I'm hoping it's changed by now.
No, they buy back.
They do, okay, great.
They don't give you much of a subsidy, though, I don't think, NYSEG, for the installation. It's not like on Long Island, you get a big subsidy from PSE&G, but
Right.
I don't think NYSEG
A big
gives you
tax
much of a
rate or
subsidy.
something.
You get a subsidy from federal government.
Right.
Yeah.
There are community solar companies now, and I think there's one that's available to us to buy our electricity from them. And it may or may not be a cost saving. I think they're saying it is, but I haven't really verified that. But that sounds like something that we should look into. That's something new this year that I've been approached about.
Go ahead.
I think that it would be a great idea if, because times change each year, technology evolves. So if I heard from one of you say something like, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to call a couple of community solar companies and get an up-to-date plan about the return on investment relative to cutting the budget rather than cutting job employment, save the money through electricity. It's a great opportunity, both long-term and short-term. So for you to say, one of us is going to do it and take the lead, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good thought.
Well, as you know, Shandaken is at the end of the NYSEG line, so that, you know, we've all had the experience of them saying 20,000 houses are out, and guess what our houses are? I live, you know, half a mile from the end of the, I sometimes want to run up with an extension cord.
Well, NYSEG has historically been a little more reliable than our neighborhood east and south. Okay.
Could you talk a little bit about how the town has been doing in terms of grant funding for any of our needs, and how you would approach grant funding, grant applications, and grant maintenance?
That's a good question, Kathy, because, I mean, clearly, we have a lot of grant applications in progress. I think it's fair to say that we have not been terribly successful in recent years in pulling in some of the funding that we hoped for. So my view of the subject is that we as a town need to find a cogent way to redouble and triple our efforts in terms of creating real grant funding programs for the town. Well, you know, I think it's important because there are a lot of sources. There are sources that you know need to be there are new sources we need to tackle. We need to follow through on the ones that are out there and waiting to be fulfilled. You know, we have sidewalk projects in Pine Hill, we have sidewalk projects in Phoenix, both of which are not moving the way they need to. We've got, you know, clearly in Phoenicia we have a very large water system project that we're attempting to fund in the order of $750,000, and the years go by and we just can't seem to manage to bring this in. So, I mean, I'm sure that in time we will get through all of them, but I think that we need to really concentrate now as a polity on making this work. So, my intention would be to look first to Shandaken, to people that we have here who have experience. We have people here in this audience who can help us. So, I'm hopeful we can make progress there.
I'm just curious if any of you up there could clarify, since there's so many people here, exactly what the state of the water system is in Phoenicia, because the rumors are that it's about to collapse. And I would just like to know how bad is it, or what needs to be done. Does anybody have any ideas?
We're coming up with a blank on this here at the moment. I haven't heard the rumors you've heard. I mean, listen, I feel like Phoenicia's water system is a heroic undertaking, and I love the fact that Rick Rickardell manages to keep it alive and working every day. You know, I mean, I'm grateful for that.
More duct tape and Band-Aids.
Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. I mean, we are enormously, you know, in his debt because he keeps it functional for us. I mean, you know, beyond that, I don't know. I don't have any information, Michelle, to answer your question about that.
I haven't heard any reports that there's anything poor going on with the Phoenicia water. You know, monthly we get a report from Al Peavy, and he talks about you know, a break in a line here or a break in a line there, but you know, this month or so, everything's been running good, and the water usage has been down, which is an indicator that they use for leaks and as such. So I think it's running at optimal right now.
Can you talk about what the $750,000 project is, and maybe it's people worried that that's not going forward?
I think that, my understanding is that SHIP has passed, the deadline has passed, and I'm not exactly sure, I haven't gotten an official reason why we didn't get it. I know that Candace was working with Rob just a few weeks ago, possibly a month ago, and they were working on that, and that grant was to send another loop to High Street and Lower High Street to make sure that if there was a water break on one end of town, that the other end of town wasn't, the whole town wasn't out of water, that there was an access or an extra loop.
Can I just say, Kevin, do you have anything further, do you know anything more about this?
Yeah, the initial grant got kicked back, but the most recent one, as far as I know, made it in by the deadline. It was close, but
Yeah, it did make it.
it made it in, so
Okay,
now
good.
it's a waiting game.
Okay, great.
And the water system's not gonna explode.
No.
Go ahead.
So, Shandaken, as you well know, has a short-term rental committee, and we're examining the economic and social imperatives of the Airbnb phenomena. And one of the criticisms is that so many